Welcome, dear viewers. I'm xnick, and today we're going to be looking at more Magic Arena games. Trying to save some gold so I can enter these interesting draft modes, but not yet. I think I need to gain a better knowledge of the cards that are in this edition, so I have a chance to achieve a decent amount of rewards. So for the time being, I just want to play some constructed deck. Let's see what is this idea. I noticed that there are a very interesting set of dragons in the game, most importantly Lathliss, the dragon queen. Let's change the view. So whenever another non-token dragon enters the battlefield under your control, create a 5/5 red dragon creature token with flying. Yeah, and you can also buff your dragons by paying 1 and a red. So very interesting. Dragon 6/6 for 6 mana, pretty demanding in resources. So let's see how many dragons do I have. Well, not that many. I don't have that many dragons. So because I liked the idea of playing with this, I was thinking, how can I use the effect repeatedly? Well, perhaps if I can return creatures from the graveyard to the battlefield, then we don't have to worry about the total number of dragons, and then if we can sacrifice the dragons, send them back to the graveyard, and then return to the battlefield, we should be fine. So let's try going with this deck. There's also a little bit of loops here with the reassembling skeleton. We can also this is one of a very good card for my style of play, because you can return it from the graveyard to the battlefield, and it's going to enter tapped, which is a downside, but otherwise it will be very overpowered, I believe, because you could have recurring blocker at any times. Then we have Act of Treason, so we have a sub-theme with sacrifices, and of course Act of Treason decks normally requires lots of setups. Then we have very efficient sacrificial cards that benefit from killing your own creatures. A Gravedigger to recover things from the graveyard, the Gravewaker. I have another copy of the Gravewaker, but for the time being I'm just leaving those in the graveyard, in the sideboard. Since I'm playing the normal regular games, the sideboard doesn't matter so far. But it's nice to have it, so you can think about the cards that you want to put in and out. So for instance, I believe that I need another Ravenous Chupacabra in the deck, because this is very efficient. So let's go and add a second Chupacabra, but now my card count has raised. We now have 61. We don't have the total number of cards displayed here, so we can click here and add the creatures 24, non-creatures 13, lands 24, those add to 61, and the display. Other than that, we can change the view. If we can close these windows, well, how do you close this? Oh boy, there you were. And in the deck layout here, we have the total number of cards either in the main deck and in the sideboard. We have 61. For some reason, the designers thinks that we don't need to add all these numbers quickly, so well, of course we can add them, but so we need to remove one thing, and our 4 mana slot is already very crowded. We have the Captivating Crew that I want to keep, so I don't necessarily have to rely on drawing Act of Treasons, and we can repeat the effect many times if we can afford to pay the mana. Twilight Prophet, I think, is a very powerful card that draws you a card and gains you life when you have Ascent. So maybe this we can remove. We are aiming to play big flyers anyways, so maybe we can make do without the Demon of Catastrophes. It does not have that impact in a deck that is trying to steal the opponents. Of course, it's another sacrifice effect, but at 4 mana it's going to be very difficult to make it work. So let's go and jump into some games and see how this works. So what is we have to take into account what is the current meta in the game. So I'm facing lots of decks that are heavily packed with removal spells, but lucky for me they are single target removal most of the time. That means that if you can acquire card advantage, you should have the upper hand. But there are also lots of cards with decks with cards that provide hand disruption, so that's something to look over. So, for instance, this hand, I like having the 3 lands and the 1 mana drop. The Act of Treason also nice, but we don't know what we are going to be facing. Perhaps this is a keep, but not sure. I'm still learning what to expect. Opponent going green, but not. It doesn't have a turn 1 play, so we're going to just attack the opponent. Also, we sort of bluff another type of deck with the Goblins deck. Here comes the Druid of the Cold, so the opponent certainly going for ramp, and quite probably some sort of dinosaurs are in my future. And let's see what to do here. There's not much going on here. We are looking forward to Sparktongue Dragon by turn 5. I don't like this dragon too much, but there's one of the few dragons that I can play. It's a 5 mana 3/3 with flying most of the time. If we can pay 3 more mana, it deals 3 damage to any target, and if we were ramping, that wouldn't be a problem, but we are not, of course. And so maybe if we combine it with Rise from the Grave, well, I hope to someday be able to pay the mana cost. So now here we can play the Act of Treason, but probably that would be extremely silly to do. So let's just pass the turn. We're not doing much this game. Maybe we end up playing the dragon, but in the green deck, Gigantosaurus, 10/10, 5 mana 10/10, very scary. So if I could steal this and sacrifice it right away, I would be very happy, you know. I'm not using the Act of Treason right now because I cannot kill the guy afterwards, but now we have a perfect blocker for the 10/10, provided the opponent does not give it trample. Do not trample. Do not use a spell that gives the guy trample. When the opponent has all the mana that in the world, so 3 of the Druids of the Cowls, 6 lands, 1 card in hand. The only redeeming factor is the opponent has a single card up there. Taking chip damage because we are not blocking the guy with the third. We might need to use the courier to block the 10/10. Okay, then I should play this, right? But if the opponent has a plummet, it's a green spell that destroys flyers. That would be pretty sad for me. But anyways, what are we going to do? No attackers. If we resolve the Waker, maybe we have a hope, but it's going to cost us plenty of mana. So the best thing that we can draw is something that allows us to sacrifice the guy. Oh, do not enchant that guy. Oh my god. 8/10, 10/10. Uh-oh. What are we going to do? We need to take desperate measures here. The damage, okay. Please, Thud. No, that's not it. Well, I can, for the time being, I can resurrect this reassembling skeleton, but it's going to enter tapped. We get the neonate that we are not going to be able to activate to gain more life, but until we get more, we need more cards basically, so we just need to keep the blocker game. No attacking, because this 3/3 is preventing these other guys from entering. We want to preserve our life total as much as possible, because if the opponent gives trample to those guys, we are down for. They take 9. I certainly don't want to do it. So 2 blockers. Ouch, ouch. This is just going to keep getting larger and larger. And I need to block something. I can throw away this. And, well, we have Rise from the Grave anyways. Let's throw this away. No attackers, of course. The opponent is going to attack with everything. Hopefully this is something that doesn't matter. We are, of course, this Act of Treason would be very sweet to play. Rapid Bite, probably we are dying next turn, unless something really. We need to find a very good draw. Here the opponent could have done a full-blown attack. Well, I kind of have something to do here. Let's take this one. Bad boy. Swing with this, of course. We are not sacrificing it before attacking. He blocks with the 1/1 of the reasons, and we are going to kill the guy. Too bad, this is not going to be enough to stop the Druid of the Cull, but for the time being we get a breathing room. Then we might be returning this from the graveyard later on with the Grave Waker, but it's not going to be easy to do. So, well, I can also return the 10/10 from the graveyard. Is that better? Probably it is better to return the 10/10. Hello? Hello? Gigantosaurus, which also happens to be a zombie now. Let's pass the turn. We are going to resummon the reassembling skeleton by the end of the opponent's turn. He can now attack with the Druid of the Cull, which is kind of a pity for me because he found the land, and ouch. We're still in the game, but it's not looking nice. So this is getting boring. If we draw more lands, we are in deep. No, Planeswalkers, why? This is against Planeswalkers, we need the Skya, well, how do you call it, content. Otherwise, we are not going to. So, yeah, now the opponent has card advantage with the +1 from the Vivian Reed. Know how to read. Now another Gigantosaurus, just what I like it, just the way we need it. And can we beat this situation? I mean, the skeletons are very powerful, right? They are not going away anytime soon, but we found a land! We cannot... I cannot attack the planeswalkers, and then if Vivian Red gets the emblem, it's game over. Therefore, I think we just concede, because I tried, but my draws were not the appropriate. There's a ton of removal cards going here, so if I had found my Chupacabras, Chupacabra, ¿dónde estás? ¿Por qué te has escondido? Vamos a probar de nuevo. Let's go again. Let's see what happens now. Of course, the opponent's deck was very strong, and we didn't got the proper draws, and probably because the hand I kept should have mulligan. This is a nice hand to start with, so we don't really have anything going for the first turn, but we have Vicious Suffering, so we don't have to worry about strange things. With black and green, most probably it's about lots of tokens, but it should seem... Apparently the opponent is going for ramp 2, so that's it's not one of the recipes, the pre-made decks probably. So let's check out the opponent's hand, maybe take away something important. A Gift of Paradise, so it is about tokens, but with some other things, with merfolks and ramps and explorers. It's a very good deck. We don't see any black cards, so but the black cards probably go along with the tokens from the Thundership Dryad. Oh, Pelaka Worm, nice. He has exiled. No, that we have the Dragon Queen already, which is lovely. Going to drop this land, of course, because that's the only land we have. We have a Vicious Offering, which is instant, so maybe we keep it just to see. But by knowing that the opponent is holding Thundership Dryad, maybe we should save the Vicious Offering for that one, and just let the Pelaka Worm is going to show up anytime soon. We are going to have the Sky Scanner. Block, no blockers. It was just a block. We are blocking the Druid of the Cold at any time. At any rate, land, which is nice. Dropping Sky Scanner. Drawing is very important in any deck, but in this is crucial. Second Act of Treason, lovely. Now we have all the Act of Treasons that we might want. We are now lacking an additional land, so we can use Vicious Offering to remove the target of the Act of Treason. Now this is somehow not ideal attack for the opponent, so probably he has a trick with black mana, but I need to block because I think I'm losing my creatures anyways. Oh, we do not lose. There was no trick. Okay, let's go. Thundership Dryad. Resolve, but we are going to do this anyways. Maybe I cancel it. There's no rush. Let's see if we find another land, which would be better. Yes. So we are going to take care of this one. Proceed to combat. Attack with the Merfolk. Let's see if I don't think the opponent is blocking, but we already have shown the Vicious Offering to the opponent. We're going to kick because reasons. The kicker enhances the effect of the card, but we have to pay an additional cost. In this case, sacrifice a creature of our own. But we have stolen one of those creatures, and now the Thundership Dryad has died, but there's a Pelaka Worm in our future, so let's hope we find more sacrifice effects. Well, Speed Flame deals 4 damage to target creature. Opponent has 5, 6. I'm thinking about shooting this one. or else I use Grave Digger and fetch the flyer from the graveyard. We have a blocker for the Baloth, and drawing is nice, I've heard. Okay, hello, Sky Scanner. We are not attacking this guy. We don't need to send the guy. Even if the opponent gets back the Gift of Paradise, good for him, but I want him to spend a card to take care of my Kitesail Freebooter, and also it's preventing these two from attacking. He needs another land to play the Placa Worm, and we need some... Oh no, now he doesn't need more lands. Now what we need is to speed flame this bad boy before we get into trouble. But since we found the land, let's draw first. Another one of these, I have to save that. We cannot leave this one in the battlefield. It's too powerful. It makes creature spells cost 2 less if they are big, and also gives them trample and +1/+1, so we better get rid of that one. So, okay, of course we are blocking again. We don't want to take 5 to the face. Like a worm, if we find a sacrifice effect, then we draw the card. Yes, we draw 3 cards now. Thank you. Thank you for the Pelaka Worm. Of course, we don't get the life gain from the Pelaka Worm, but this is going to be sweet. We deal 7 to the opponent, so the 7 he won is not going to be relevant at the end of this. And we draw 3 cards, which, by the way, I like it very much. And now we have the Harpy, and if we can somehow get enough mana and this guy doesn't kick the bin, we are going to have our game with combining these two. More ramping for the opponent, that's more exploring. We get to see the next card. It was a land, okay. Red, so the opponent also plays red. That's interesting. What? Well, maybe he has those massive red spells that allows him to... I mean, he could... He could kill me with a lot of mana if he ramps lots of things. So here maybe I just steal for 1 turn one of those guys. We're going to... we're not going to be able to block the guy without... So let's take this. We now are completely tapped down. The opponent left the game because probably he assumed that I was going to be able to sacrifice that 5/5. Not this turn, but the next turn we could be able. So one victory, 1 loss. Let's see if we can untie this card. Oh, we found the Raging Regisaur. When Raging Regisaur attacks, it deals 1 damage to any target. That's a cool effect, and it's only 2 mana to play him, right? If you are playing a dinosaur deck and if you are playing 4 mana for this card, you are playing it wrong. Your dinosaurs should cost you only 2 mana. Otherwise, you don't know how to play dinosaurs. That's correct. And yeah, 4/4 for 4/4 Raging Regisaur. It's pretty balanced and also has that neat effect when it attacks. It's a good one. And of course you have to play red and green, but in the dinosaur decks that's probably what you want to do anyways. This hand is lovely, but we don't have action up to turn 4, so if we keep this hand we lose against aggressive decks. If we mulligan, we run the risk of not finding the proper lands. This is a tough spot. If I mulligan, I also get one scry, so let's risk it. Single land. Uh-oh. Worst case scenario has occurred. I'm going to have to mulligan and go to 5. This is even worse. Well, at the very least, we have a few removal spells in hand. We don't want to keep... Oh, we need lands now. No, let's see if we can pilot this. No, this is a surveil deck, which means the opponent is going to disrupt my hand, which was already pretty bad to begin with. And if I had kept my starting hand, the first of all of them, probably it was going to be much better. Yeah, we are going to have to throw away something because the opponent is going to play. Well, he hasn't found the blue lands yet, which is good for us. And well, at least we can drop this into our graveyard. That's the first thing. And my turn. Come on, lands. There you are, finally. So, okay, goodbye, reassembling skeleton. Now the opponent, oh, look at, what is the opponent? I just noticed the opponent is playing with a 100 lander. I mean 100, well, what is this called? The Tower of Power. Very cool. So we have a chance, we have hopes, because a deck this size is very inconsistent, and I'm going to save this. I'm not going to spend this in a stupid 0-3. So let's maybe use this end of turn. I already played the land, so there is there a 1 mana drop that I want to have here? Well, it's maybe that goblin, a 1 mana goblin. Let's see what happens. I don't think I'm going to be able to play anything, but just in case we do it before a passing turn. Well, as I suspected. Okay. Pass a return. Now we have 1 creature in the graveyard, so we can reduce the power and toughness of something by 1. Might be relevant. Rise from the grave. Oh no, we are losing our skeleton. Now we cannot use this anymore. And the combat. And now we go to my turn. So the opponent likes to steal cards. Outrageous. We don't have targets for the Blood Liturgist, but we have the Gravewaker somewhere in the future. I'm going to kill my own skeleton. Nah, let's go with this. Not killing the skeletons. Poor guy. You are just visiting the other side just to take a look what is going on and so on. Don't worry, buddy. We're going to take good care of you. Hello. Welcome back. Act of Treason. You were the treacherous one before, so this is very unclear who betrayed who. So this guy went to the other side, but it was actually ours to begin with. So now he has returned to our side. So by betraying the other guy. So this is a very cunning skeleton. Don't mess with this guy. You never know which side he's going to take. We are back to -1 on the necrotic wound. Opponent has now a blue land, which can prove problematic, maybe. Okay, let's attack. He seems to be holding instant. Something that I don't like about the game is that You get to know if the opponent has an instant. Even if you enable full control, I think it's pretty obvious when the opponent has an instant or not. Probably something that can kill this guy or draw him more cards, or maybe both. Surveil, then draw, and takes some damage. So Surveil is a very powerful mechanic. It lets you look at your next cards from the deck, and then you get to choose. Now we see the opponent wants to disrupt my hand, so we have to. No, he gets to choose a card. So which one is it going to be? Probably the Grave Waker. No, it cannot be a creature, so maybe Act of Treason, I believe, is the one card that he should take away from our hand. Instead it was the Necrotic Wound, because probably he has something that he wants to play. Let's pass the turn and combat, recover the skeleton from the graveyard. A good idea against cards such as the Rise from the Grave. You don't want to. You want to give the opponent the chance to spend the card and then recover this as a response. Combat, attack. Something's going on. The opponent probably wants to kill our guys. And I think if the opponent tries to take away my guys with the blue spells, I can kill them myself. More Surveil. He likes surveilling, but this opponent has lost some game because he's sent all the cards to the graveyard and then was left without any more cards. And then he said, "No, now I'm going to play with 100 cards so I can throw away my entire deck to the graveyard. I don't want to lose because I get my library depleted." Okay, Split Flame on you. This is lose most of the impact factor because the opponent already knew that we were holding this. Costly Plunder, yeah, for sure, that's a nice one. Once we are holding the Reassembling Skeleton, as you might know, damage. And well, for using a heavy mulligan this game with a very bad starting hand, we are doing great. But we have to give credit to the opponent for having a very inconsistent and slow deck. And the game. Now he already finally he found the second blue, and now he can probably play any of those cards. Opt. He was holding the Opt all along. He had the Opt, scry 1, draw a card. Very good 1 mana card. If you like to know what's going on. But in a deck this large, I wouldn't. If you are going to play 100 cards, do not play Opt, because that's taking up space. It's better not to have the card. Anyways. Thieves of Sanity. We don't want to let this guy kill us, because then he takes away our cards. Yes, he looks 3 of our cards, then chooses 1 that he can play, and the others are sent to the graveyard. So that's not what we want to happen. So what we are going to do now is payback time. We're going to use the Thief of Sanity against our opponent, and which is very satisfying for me and very strange, because he had using the duress. He saw our hand. He knew that we had the Act of Treason, and now we get to play this for the very first time for me. I get to use this, return For the graveyard, that's a nice one, and we also get to exile this spell, by the way. So, hello, Act of Treason, or, well, Vicious, Costly Plunder. Let's get the Act of Treason. Why not? And Thud, we sacrifice a creature to deal damage to any target. Any target except artifacts, vehicles, lands, enchantments. So any in Magic the Gathering means only creatures or planeswalkers or players. So it's a very limited range of application of the word any. You cannot. There are some lands in the game that can become creatures, but you cannot target them with spells like this. No, he's taking away my guys. I cannot kill them. My skeleton! Why? Come back, you traitor! Why? Don't you... Well, for some reason the opponent preferred to take this one instead of this other one. It is so strange. Well, maybe he wanted to have two blockers. Okay. What to do here? Well, if I play this, I can take back the Speed Flame from the graveyard. It's not ideal yet. I can actually kill the opponent this turn, combining this. This is the strongest removal in black, I believe. Exile target, creature or planeswalker. I don't know how to read that name. Vraska's Contempt. Vraska's Contempt. I don't know how to read that one. Come here. You are the most treacherous... The most treacherous skeleton I've ever saw. You are. Okay. So I hope you have enjoyed this. We ended up with a positive winning rate for the deck, which is nice. We want to still get more cards. Probably next time I'm going to enter one of these events. I think I prefer the draft. I think for if you don't have a very large collection, a very advanced collection, a constructed event is going to be very difficult to go ahead and far, because you are going to be missing many cards, and at this point in time there's a few key cards that are desirable to go if you are trying to win lots of games. Probably you want to have any of these cards called the Planeswalkers. I heard they are pretty decent to play. Probably you want to have lots of those. It's not... I don't imagine entering here with a limited collection is going to be very easy, but instead, in the draft, everyone has to build the deck, starting with the given packs, which I think is a very fun... it's a very fun mode game, and also if you are starting with the draft mode, probably it's better just to assemble a not that good game, but instead trying to pick the best card that you get to keep for your collection. So you end up with a very awkward draft, but get a lot of value of the draft for future games, unless you prefer to just play only draft. Also, that's a possibility, but well, we are going to discuss more about that next time. Until then, sayonara.